Hello, everyone. I think we are now live, hopefully. Yeah, welcome along to the second of our YouTube cook-alongs. My name is Ollie, and I have been partnering with Hearts SU for a little while now to bring you some tasty and hopefully quite easy and accessible recipes to lift the mood during lockdown, I suppose, and to teach you how to cook. I've got an Instagram account called OT Cooks and Eats that has a lot of different types of those kind of recipes. So if you want to have a look at that, then please do. There's lots of other things on there. There's now quite a few videos on the Hearts Students Union Instagram page as well, where I've, again, kind of done a few different types of recipes. Today we are doing a salad, so slightly kind of lighter, healthier dish, but yeah, hopefully one that is super tasty. We are starting off with our lettuce and a few other kind of nice sort of standard issue ingredients in a salad, but we're going to try and mix it up a little bit with some cauliflower. We're going to do with some really nice kind of Middle Eastern spices, as well as some chickpeas. So we've got these chickpeas here that we're just going to drain and cook along with the cauliflower, making them nice and crisp and sort of caramelized and gnarly, be really, really tasty. And then we are going to serve that with a few kind of garnishes. So we've got some nuts that we're going to toast up, some flaked almonds, and some pumpkin seeds as well. They're going to go really nice and crispy, and hopefully give a nice sort of aroma to the dish as well. Some pomegranates that are very common in Middle Eastern food, popularized by Ottolenghi. I don't know if anyone's kind of cooked any of his recipes, but he very much brought these to the UK. And then a lovely kind of tahini-based dressing with some yogurt, some lemon zest. It can be really, really tasty. So yeah, there's a little bit of feta going in there as well. So all sorts, hopefully trying to liven up a sort of fairly standard issue salad, basically. Yeah, I suppose without further ado, let's get cooking. I'm just gonna, Mum, sorry, would you mind just grabbing a cauliflower, please, if that's all right? I think it's just outside, yeah. So what we can do first is start prepping our radishes. So in fact, what I'm going to do first of all is preheat the oven ready for that cauliflower and the chickpeas. I'm just going to preheat that to about 200, 220, something like that. What we want is a nice kind of relatively high heat that hopefully gives it color. We don't want to kind of overcook it too much because I think, you know, there's a risk that it can go mushy and stuff like that. By doing it at a slightly higher heat, we allow that kind of Maillard reaction, if you want to be super technical about it, that kind of caramelization and flavor really helps to kind of elevate it from what can be quite a boring vegetable sometimes, along with the spices as well will kind of help to do that. But before we do that, we're going to get started by prepping some of our kind of I guess garnishes, if you like, or other elements of the salad. So to start off with the radishes, very simple in terms of prep for these. You just want to top and tail them, so you can see there they've kind of got a little pointy bit at the end, and then the top, I guess, head there or root there, if you like. Just want to sort of take both of those off, and then again, depending on how fancy you're feeling, you can chop them normally. We're going to go for nice sort of thin strips here. So you can just run down like that, and you can see we've got nice kind of thin slices of radish there. Awesome, thank you. Or if you're feeling particularly fancy and want to show off your knife skills, make sure you've got a nice kind of flat base to work from, and then you can go for a bit more of a tap chop, where again it just kind of speeds things up, and you can see you get, I'll try and move it a bit closer to the camera, kind of lovely thin radishes there. These are really nice in terms of flavor, from both a kind of you know, they're quite bitter but quite refreshing in the same time, and they're also a lovely pop of color. They're kind of bright pink, and so really help to make a salad, you know, visually appealing, same as the pomegranates really. So as I say, we're going to prep our radishes to do that, and again, in terms of the quantities, it's sort of up to you really in you know how many things you would like to use. I'm not going to go for sort of loads of these. I think there's you know, plenty of other elements, and you know, we want it to be a nice sort of balanced dish rather than you know, overwhelmed or taken over by you know, one particular element. So I'll probably do maybe half of this packet here, and we'll as I say, kind of leave it there for now. Obviously, if you want a few more, absolutely feel free to add them in. One thing that is really nice with these radishes is sometimes as just a little snack to kind of dip them in salt and just have them whole. They're really nice to do that way. Again, maybe an acquired taste for some. I absolutely love them. They're really good pickled as well. I have them with quite a lot of sort of Asian dishes. So there's a Korean fried chicken that I make a lot of the time, and I often have these radishes and some carrots and cucumber in a nice sort of pickle, you know, sort of white wine vinegar, sugar, and a few spices, and let them sort of marinate essentially, and then they go sort of sweet and sour and tangy. Really nice accompaniment with some, you know, as I say, often like Asian food or spicy food. But to be honest, you could have it with like a, you know, a nice burger or something like that. I think would work really well as well. So again, just finish off chopping these radishes. Important as well at this point to remind you to make sure you've got a sharp knife. Very bad practice if you have a blunt knife in the kitchen, and actually it's kind of been proven to be less safe as well. You're more likely to cut yourself if you're kind of working with a blunt knife. If you're, you know, cutting and then it suddenly kind of jags through, then it can be less safe. And again, you know, with the radishes, feel free to take your time. You'll notice as well, I'm using that kind of claw technique that have spoken about many times before. So again, fingertips are well underway. If you're feeling like you get to this point of the radish, so you're trying to balance it on a very thin end, feel free to just pop it on its side like that and finish it off as normal. So yeah, I'm not going to do too many more of these. I think that's should be enough to kind of give us what we need from our salad, basically. And then again, just taking extra care at this final stage to make sure that you don't lose any of those precious fingers. I should say, obviously, being live, we are able to chat and interact. So if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to fire away, and I'll do my best to answer them. And similarly, you know, if you are kind of cooking along, let us know, and I will try and keep you updated on the progress, or, you know, answer any questions that you have about the stages that we're at. But that, I think, you know, is a pretty good starting place. I might just do a couple more. What we can do in the meantime, though, I'm going to defy the stereotype of men being able to multitask, is we can get on with toasting our kind of nuts and seeds. So I think in the original recipe, it called for pumpkin seeds. I really like these in salads. They give just a wonderful kind of flavor and aroma when you're using them, and particularly when you kind of bring them to life a little bit when you toast them. You can, by all means, use lots of different nuts. Pistachios would be really nice. I've actually got some flaked almonds here as well that I'm going to chuck in. You could use cashews if you wanted to. You know, whatever you've got, basically, feel free to throw in, because I think they'll be really nice. But with the vast majority of them, pretty much all nuts, you want to kind of toast them first. It really helps to sort of wake up their flavor. So we're going to get our hob on the go, and we want this on kind of, you know, a low medium heat. Really, we don't want it to be you know, absolutely ripping hot. We just want to kind of toast these, and thankfully, particularly with the pumpkin seeds, but the flaked almonds as well, have almost got like a sort of built-in you know, timer, if you like, to let you know when they're done. The pumpkin seeds actually like pop and sort of crackle when they're sufficiently toasted. You will also be able to smell them as well. The smell that comes off of particularly these two, flaked almonds and pistachio nuts, are pumpkin seeds are just amazing. It will kind of smell up the whole room in a good way. So as I say, you just want to get that pan on a sort of low, medium heat. And then once that's kind of up to temperature, I will add those nuts in. And in the meantime, I will just finish off the radishes. So the key with a salad and with a lot of cooking really is to try and kind of use the time effectively. So I've got that oven coming up to temperature now. And then we are, as I say, once that's sort of up to temperature and finished, going to add in our cauliflower and chickpeas, but I will show you what to do with those in the meantime. So that pan is feeling slightly hotter. So I'm going to add in the seeds. Again, up to you how many you want to add. I'm doing this for my family this evening. So for 4 people, I'd say maybe 3-4 tablespoons, I suppose, if you kind of want to measure it out. But I think eyeballing these things is usually fine. And I'll probably do maybe half of that of the flaked almonds as well. The one thing that is really important when toasting nuts, and I'm going to say this now and hope I don't get kind of caught out by it, is to make sure you're kind of keeping an eye on them and moving them around. You can very easily burn these, so make sure that you keep an eye on it and kind of monitor them. Give it a little shake and a toss every now and then if you start to smell them going a bit over. So I'm going to hope that I follow up my instruction and don't get distracted by talking to the camera or preparing the other ingredients of the dish. So again, just going to finish off these radishes. I love doing these radishes. You can kind of be slightly chefy and showy offy when you kind of do a quick tap chop, but I'm going to keep it sedate, make sure everyone can sort of enjoy and hopefully me not be too annoying and showy offy. So those are the radishes done. Again, just want to kind of keep an eye on the nuts and seeds as well. I have got my kind of serving bowl here. So again, I'm doing a big portion of this. So I'm going to add this in. I'm going to, rather than kind of plate them up separately, just add in ingredients to the bowl sort of once they're ready, basically, once they're prepared. And then when it comes to the end, I'll toss it all together to make sure everything is kind of evenly distributed. But yeah, they're pretty... yeah, hopefully you can see they're going to be a nice kind of pop of color. That bright pink, I think, is going to help to really stand out. So again, nuts and seeds are going. Next up, we are going to focus on, what are we going to focus on next? I think the chickpeas. So very simple with these. Again, I kind of always use these canned ones. You can buy dried ones and hydrate them yourself. Certainly what a lot of kind of OG chefs do, they'll insist that you have to buy the dried ones. I'm too lazy for that, can't think that far ahead, so prefer these kind of canned versions. All we're going to do is open them and drain them in the sink. You can already start to smell those nuts and seeds toasting up beautifully. So again, just going to grab my tin opener. Ideally, you get ones with the ring pull on them, but yeah, just make sure kind of open those, and then you're going to want to rinse these a little bit. So I'm going to just briefly go off camera to do it, but I've got a little sieve. I'm just going to pour them in, rinse them under the tap, and then we're going to dry them. I'll show you what to do next with those. So hopefully you can hear that, the sound of the chickpeas going in there, and they're just getting a quick rinse. The reason we do that is kind of to get rid of a lot of that excess water. It's called aquafaba, used a lot in kind of vegan cooking. It behaves very similarly to egg whites. And there you can see, I don't know if you can hear, I'll try and put it close to the mic, but there you go, pumpkin seeds are just starting to pop. So they're kind of very close to being ready. Again, we'll keep an eye on those. But the chickpeas there, as you can see, have just been drained of the water, given a quick rinse, and then popped in the tray. I am going to go for 2 tins of chickpeas, just because I know my family, and I know that they'll be greedy. My little brother in particular absolutely loves chickpeas. So yeah, I think we'll double up on those. And I think now what I'm going to do is switch off the heat on the hob. Hopefully you can see there, you're starting to see the change in the color of some of those almonds in particular. They've got a lovely kind of golden brown, and again, smell-o-vision's not been invented yet, unfortunately, but the smell coming off of that is just wonderful. So yeah, they're pretty much done. Again, there's still a little bit of residual heat in the pan that's going to help to sort of toast those up even further. But yeah, hopefully they are pretty much good to go. So I'm just going to drain this other can of chickpeas and pop it in there, and then we'll move on to the cauliflower. So again, all I'm doing here is just popping it into a sieve or a colander and just draining it to kind of get rid of any of that excess sort of chickpea water. If you are veggie or particularly vegan, then please, by all means, save that that chickpea water. As I say, it's called aquafaba. And it's used a lot in like vegan meringues and stuff. It behaves in a similar way to egg white, I think. So yeah, I've personally not used it because I'm not vegan. So we'll opt for egg whites most of the time. But yeah, pretty cool trick, and a nice sort of zero waste thing as well there. But those are the chickpeas kind of done and dusted. We are now going to turn our attention to the cauliflower. And again, very, very simple process here. You just want to kind of break it up into little florets, which what the kind of individual pieces are called. And the way to do that is take off these outer leaves. Again, I've seen really cool uses for the leaves, less so the kind of woody parts, but the leaves particularly you can use in kimchi. I think Jamie Oliver might have a recipe for it. Look really, really cool. Kimchi is a kind of fermented cabbage, for those that don't know or haven't eaten it. All we're going to do in terms of breaking this down, so you can see I've kind of removed those leaves there, just going to try and chop that end off, and then just being very careful with the knife, kind of angling it in. Again, don't, do this if you're not confident, but kind of if you've got a good grip, you can sort of begin to get into the middle and take out that sort of particularly woody sort of stem there. A lot of people will use this in the cooking for this, and I think particularly for a salad, texture is really important. So I'm gonna leave it out. But if there are other recipes, I know cauliflower rice is a big thing now. If it's used in that, then by all means you could use that, or I'm trying to think what else you could use it in a similar way to kind of broccoli stalks, I think. So yeah, please feel free to use that if you want to, or save that. We are just going to focus instead on the florets. So it's hopefully quite an easy process now. You can see it's all sort of held together, and all we're going to do is kind of pick the florets off just by hand. So we'll do that on the board. And then they'll come off in quite big chunks. Again, it's up to you. I personally much prefer the kind of smaller heads, and I think particularly when we're thinking about that kind of color and that charring and that lovely kind of crispiness. Obviously, having a lot more kind of pieces of cauliflower will help to give a lot more surface area. So that's kind of what I'm going to go for. But if you wanted them larger because you like a more meaty kind of texture, then as I say, by all means go for that. But yeah, you can see you're just able to sort of break them up with your hands. And I seeing something like that would think that's way too big. That's like nearly the size of my my hand. So would kind of break that down further into sort of smaller chunks. And again, if there's any big bits of stem, you can leave those out. but then you get these kind of lovely tiny ones that will end up catching and crisping and going absolutely lovely. So just going to check the oven, and that is very nearly up to temperature, which is good. And again, just going to break these cauliflowers down. And they're literally just going in the tray with the chickpeas. I'm looking at it now and thinking I might have gone for slightly too small a tray, but I think we'll be able to get away with it. And you'll notice what I'm doing is almost kind of scrunching them and crushing them in my hands to get the smaller sort of florets out. You can do this with a knife if you want to. I just find it's kind of easier and less fiddly to do it with your hands. And as I say, a big kind of trend at the moment is cauliflower rice taking place of normal rice for people on a diet or anything like that. And it's a similar kind of thing. You take a piece like that and sort of scrunch it or put it in a food processor, and you can see it ends up with small little grains like that. But that looks pretty good for most of those. Again, just break them up to your desired consistency. I'm going to try and leave it fairly rough and ready, so we've got a mix of some big, some small. And I'll kind of put it up to the camera shortly to show you. So again, get all of those little heads, little florets of cauliflower, and break up any pesky ones that have managed to elude you thus far. And then that's pretty much it in terms of the prep for that. So the only other thing is to clean down, which is a very important step. So we'll get rid of the excess. To say in this instance, I'm not going to use it. If it was on a different day and I'd been more forward thinking, I might have tried and saved that and made a nice kimchi or done something with it. But for ease, we're just going to use the florets today. And then the final thing that we want to do here is to add in our kind of flavor, I guess. So I have gone for 4 spices in this recipe. By all means, you could add more spices or you could change it up and add different ones. The 4 that I've gone for, that I think are kind of the base level really, are turmeric. So this is a kind of really nice aromatic spice. Be careful because it does stain really badly. It looks as though you've been kind of smoking 50 a day for the last 20 years if you get it on your nails. So just be careful with that one. But it does give a lovely kind of aromatic flavor. It's used a lot in Indian cooking as well, and a lot of curries, and as I say, gives it a really nice color. The next one that we're going to go for is ground cinnamon. So again, gives a nice kind of sweetness to it, but you get a lot of those sort of Middle Eastern, classic Middle Eastern flavors. It's not kind of a pure sweetness, so we're not just going to be adding it in, you know, for just that reason. It's a nice kind of fragrant spice as well, and goes really well with some of the other more savory spices. Chili flakes, really important in this. I think there's not a great deal of heat anywhere else throughout this dish, so I like to add it in here, and it gives it kind of, you know, a slightly more earthy flavor than if you just use fresh chili. And then last but certainly not least is cumin seeds. So in this instance, I really like these whole seeds rather than ground cumin. If you don't have cumin seeds, by all means use ground cumin instead. That'd be absolutely fine. But I think the seeds give a really nice texture as well as flavor. Similar to what we've just seen with those pumpkin seeds, actually, they kind of pop almost when they're heated up. So really helped, as I say, kind of bring the dish to life. So quantities wise, again, I never really measure this. I kind of just do it by eye. I would say you'd probably want to go heavier on the cumin seeds than the chili flakes for obvious reasons. I would go for, again, for this quantity, for, you know, 4 very hungry people with someone expectantly hoping for leftovers as well, I'd say probably 2 to 3 tablespoons, probably 2 tablespoons, I guess. So again, just going to add those in there. Chili flakes, again, probably half that. So, you know, 1 tablespoon, I guess. And, you know, if you're not necessarily a chili fan, then probably even less than that. Turmeric, maybe 1.5, maybe 2 tablespoons of that. Try and avoid getting that too much on my fingers and make sure we can get it out of the jar in the first instance. Again, main thing you want to do is try and get a sort of even distribution of these spices over the cauliflower and the chickpeas. And then last but not least, you probably want to go in with around the same quantity of ground cinnamon, so maybe a tablespoon and a half of that for this quantity. Obviously, for smaller quantities, you'd use less, and for larger quantities, you'd use more, but that is getting into maths, which is definitely not my strong suit. I'm going to continue to talk about the food instead. So you can see there, obviously, lots of spices and lots of flavor that we've added in. The two most basic ones that you have to add in at this stage are salt and pepper. And again, be nice and generous with these. This is particularly the salt is what's going to help to sort of draw out the moisture in the cauliflower and the chickpeas and help it to crisp up. So, you know, don't obviously over season it, but, you know, make sure you're reasonably generous with the salt and pepper. And then again, I have been kind of making this recipe because I'm trying to eat a little bit healthier at lunchtime particularly. You can use some water if you like, just to help dress this. More classically, you'd use oil, and that's what I'm going to go for today. Again, really helps in terms of that, you know, crispy element as well. Obviously, oil really benefits vegetables in, you know, a frying pan or in the oven to help crisp up and go nice and gnarly. And then what you can do, I'm going to go in with my hands just to save a little bit of time. If you are maybe just about to go on a night out, or you don't want to necessarily get slightly yellow stained hands, then you could do this with gloves, or you could do this with kitchen utensils. For me, it's just my family here. They know that there's a cook along going on, so I'm going to get in with my hands. And you just want to kind of toss this and make sure those spices are kind of nice and evenly incorporated amongst both the cauliflower and the chickpeas on the bottom. So trying not to get it too far out of the tin. Just want to mix that around, kind of massage those in, and again, the oil will help to coat it. And you should now, if you are cooking along or if you're watching this back and making it along at the same time, be smelling those lovely spices just starting to sort of come to life. They will smell 15 times better once they come out the oven, I promise you. The really important thing with spices that I think a lot of people overlook is, you know, you have to cook them out. So, you know, with particularly with some of the kind of grainy ones like turmeric and cinnamon, you really have to give them the time, you know, either in a pan, in a sauce, or in the oven that they need to cook out. So that is the cauliflower and the chickpeas done. That's going to go into, yeah, relatively hot oven. So I'd say around 200, 210 degrees for probably only 20 minutes or so. We don't need to cook these through an awful lot. We're looking mostly for color. So I'm going to add those into the preheated oven now. Oh, and critically give my hands a quick wash to try and avoid that turmeric staining too much. And frantically search for a tea towel. There you go. To dry my hands off. So that is the kind of base elements of the salad done. Again, we can now sort of turn our attention back to the toppings. So those nuts, beautiful color, lovely smell, are going to go into the bowl as well. I'm going to leave the pan out just because what we can do is, if we're maybe lacking some of that color from the cauliflower and the chickpeas, we can help to kind of finish them off in the pan, if you like. So I'm going to leave that out just in case. We are going to turn our attention now to the lettuce. So this is, I guess, well, in fact, I was about to say this is what makes a salad, but I very much disagree with that. I think you can have lovely, delicious salads without any kind of lettuce involved. In this instance, it's a really good filler. So again, I kind of developed this recipe mainly because I am trying to eat a little bit healthier. I have this a lot at lunchtime, but we're having it for dinner tonight. It can be really, really nice. And lettuce is obviously a really good way to do that. It's, you know, quite kind of filling, but not necessarily hugely calorific ingredient. So the way I like to kind of prep this is to often some of these outer leaves will be maybe a little bit damaged. So if they've got any sort of discoloration on or anything like that, just to take them off. So again, just investigate. That one looks pretty fine. Certainly don't want to waste them if they're all good. But some of these have got some kind of nasty markings on. So get rid of them if they don't look super appetizing. There's a few here that have maybe just gone slightly bad, but the rest of them look okay. So get rid of any that aren't, there you go, aren't looking ever so nice. And then what I kind of prefer to do with these, I much prefer eating the kind of leafy green part rather than the white stem. So I usually like to kind of chop maybe a fifth or a quarter of the way out the lettuce to get rid of that. So just about there, you can see that's sort of where the leaves begin and the root ends, if you like. So I'm going to do that for the lettuces here. I'd recommend maybe 1 gem lettuce per person. I've got 5 here. That's because there are a couple of slightly smaller ones. Again, please feel free to adjust that measurement if you are feeling very hungry or perhaps less hungry to suit your needs. But that's what I'm going to go for today. Again, just getting rid of any excess that we don't need. And then really important with lettuce is to give these a wash. So particularly if you are buying from a kind of, organic veg place, a lot of them won't necessarily be washed. Even these supermarket ones, a lot of them aren't that kind of, washed and ready to go sort of thing. So really important to give these a rinse through and, to kind of look beyond these outer leaves and start to get into the middle to see if there's any kind of grit or anything like that. So I'm going to, again, use my trusty sieve and just give these a quick rinse over by the sink. If you have a salad spinner, that's a really good thing to use. Certainly not necessary. You can get away with just washing it by hands with a sieve, or even you could get away without a sieve and just do it in your hands. But I'm going to utilize the sieve because it's literally already out and ready to go. And again, just finish off with the last few. Just make sure they're nice and clean and no one gets any surprises halfway through their salad. I think, yeah, most salads are absolutely fine, but just sometimes you can get a little bit of dirt that, if we're going to all this effort to try and, make our salad look nice and taste nice and everything, you certainly don't want to be it to be spoiled by a little bit of mud or anything like that. So yeah, give your lettuce a good rinse, and then we can give it a good dry as well. So again, a salad spinner would do this for you, but it's important, I think, to try and get that moisture off. We don't want it to dilute our salad or our dressing or flavors or anything like that. So it doesn't have to be absolutely forensic or in depth, but just to kind of pat that dry, get most of that excess liquid off, and then that is, again, up to you really. I usually like to just give this a quick chop through. I think personally, if I was finding, that bit of lettuce, I'd struggle to eat that in one mouthful. I'm going to try and make it a little bit more manageable for myself by moving some of this off the board. And again, what you can do is sort of stack these leaves up. Hopefully, some of the lettuces will have retained their shape. You really don't have to be particularly fancy with this. You can chop it very roughly. It's a salad after all. You're not necessarily plating this up hugely fancily, so you can get away with sort of a very rough and ready chop. But roughly you want to aim for kind of bite-sized pieces, I guess. So something like that. If some of them are a little bit bigger, obviously just kind of go over them again. But yeah, rough and ready chop. And you can see, again, I'm just adding it straight into my bowl. There's no need to worry about, kind of dirtying lots of other things. Conscious it's going to be mainly students watching this, and in fact, you know, students or adults, I think all of us would like to avoid extra washing up if we can avoid it. So again, just add in your chopped lettuce into the bowl, finish off these last few bits, and then I'm going to give my board a little clean down, because we're starting to get slightly messy. So we'll give it a little wipe down and see if we can tidy that up a bit. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream so far. If you do have any comments or questions or anything like that, please do let me know. Be more than happy to answer your questions or queries. And I think one thing that I would say about this salad kind of so far is that it's very much a template rather than a formal recipe. You know, these are the things that I like to put in to this particular salad, but with all salads, you can really change it and adapt it so whatever you've got in the fridge. If you didn't want to use cauliflower, perhaps you could use broccoli. You could use, you know, butter beans or other types of beans. If you, instead of chickpeas, if you wanted to, if you had those in the house, it really is kind of about, you know, adapting and suiting to your kind of needs and preferences. So please don't feel like you have to, you know, follow exactly as the recipe says. Hopefully there's a little bit of room for maneuver. Similarly with the spices as well, you could add in all sorts really. You could add in some sumac would be really nice. You could add in some ground coriander. You could add in maybe a little bit of paprika or smoked paprika as well. All of those would work really, really well in this salad. So, you know, use it more as a framework, as I say, rather than a kind of definitive guide. With that being said, I'm going to take a quick sip of water, because I've been talking for the last 35 minutes, and we're now going to turn our attention to our dressing. So super simple, this one. Again, I mentioned that I kind of arrived at this salad because I'm looking to eat a bit healthier, and one of the really common areas in which salads can sort of appear healthy but not actually be that healthy is in the dressing. For me, I'm going to kind of avoid that by hopefully not using too much oil, and instead using yogurt as my kind of base. So I've got like a 0% fat sort of Greek style yogurt here, or natural yogurt would work really well. That is kind of the base of the dressing, along with tahini, which is a really lovely, again, very classic Middle East ingredient. It's like ground sesame seeds or sesame seed paste that is, again, quite bitter on its own. So I almost always mix it with yogurt and lemon and a bit of honey as well to kind of take that sort of raw kind of harshness away from it. So, and again, that's exactly what we're going to do here today. Some garlic would be really nice with it as well, either cooked or raw. I'm just going to leave it as is today for simplicity. But it's a very simple process to kind of make the dressing. So in a, you know, reasonably sized bowl, make sure you can kind of get to some good mixing. You're going to want to add, again, for this quantity of salad, I'm going to go for probably 4 very heaped tablespoons of my yogurt. Then I'd say maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons of the tahini. It is quite strong, and again, we want to kind of let it out with that water. So, you know, making sure that we're not, you know, kind of concentrating it too much by adding that in. I'm just going to give it a quick mix, make sure we get it all in. And again, going to go for kind of 1 sort of, yeah, a generous 2 tablespoons. My mum is convinced that she doesn't like tahini, but I have put it in so many dishes that she said is absolutely delicious. So I'm not quite sure where her beef is exactly, but yeah, hopefully this will be another one to try and curb the trend. So again, that's the kind of yogurt and tahini mixed in, and by all means get a chef's goodie along the way. With the lemon, one of my really kind of big bugbears is when people don't use the zest. It's not always in every single recipe necessary, but for something like this, a dressing, it's a lovely way to kind of make sure that you're kind of using as much of the lemon as you can, but also it gives a slightly different, almost sort of floral aroma. Really, really nice, and goes super well with this dressing. So either using a microplane grater like this or the kind of finest setting on a box grater, make sure you've got your kind of lemon in one hand and then just sort of work your way round. The main thing that you want to try and avoid is going too far into the too far past the skin. So hopefully you can see there the difference in color. You've got that kind of lemon rind bit there, and then the white kind of pith. The white pith is very, very bitter. So if you kind of grate in one spot for ages and go past that rind and into the pith, you'll lose that lovely kind of floral aroma and instead get into that bitter part. So you want to be really careful to avoid that. So again, just kind of working your way round and down the lemon, almost like a sort of helter-skelter. Again, just only doing a little bit on any one place. We can basically get access to all of that lovely zest. And again, if you are cooking along, hopefully you should be smelling those lovely essential oils that are coming out of that lemon. Absolutely delicious. And you know, it is a lemon flavor, but it's almost like a sort of sherbet lemon type thing. It's really really delicious and a really lovely way to yeah, just get a different element from the same thing. And otherwise it would have just gone in the bin as well. So I always think that's a nice part. I'm going to choose to add all of that lemon zest in. I'm probably not going to add all of the juice. I'll maybe start with half. So you can see there, just chop that in half. And a little hack trick way is to, rather than use a sort of lemon squeeze or anything like that, just squeeze it through your hand to make sure you catch any pips. So I'm probably only going to go for the juice of half a lemon initially. And then I've always got the other half that I can taste, season and adjust accordingly. So there you can see we've got the sort of mixture as it is at the moment. Important to just mix in that lemon juice. And what you'll notice is that it's still, obviously because of that yogurt, a very thick mixture. Certainly not quite that dressing consistency that we're looking for. So the way you can do this is with oil. For me, as I say, a lot of why I really enjoy this recipe is to keep it quite low calorie. So I'm actually just going to use water to thin it out. And in terms of how much water to use, it really is just a case of kind of using your eyes and working out what's the best kind of consistency, what's the consistency you're looking for. I'll come back and show you where I like it. You want something that you can kind of drizzle across the salad. So at the moment it's more spoony and thick. And hopefully when I add the water in, and again, just make sure you give it a mix to make sure that's fully incorporated. You can see here, hopefully, the difference in texture. And just give it a quick mix. And you can see we've instantly gone, it's still probably a little bit thick for me, but you can see it's much more kind of runny, and we're getting closer to that the dressing consistency that we're after. So again, just adding a little bit of water at a time. Give that a stir in, and we are not far. I personally still like it as quite a thick dressing, but you want to make sure that you're able to kind of coat all of the salad leaves. That's the point of the dressing, is to dress, basically. So for me, that's about right there. You can see it's kind of certainly thicker than a lot of other salad dressings, but able to pour rather than dollop, I suppose. So that is kind of where I like it. Obviously, you can take it thicker or thinner depending on your sort of personal preference. The last thing we need to do is taste and season. Really, really important in dressings in general, but with this one, that you give it a little taste and adjust accordingly. So in unceremonious fashion, give it a little taste. It's really nice, actually. The lemon kind of cuts through it, and the lemon zest comes through quite strongly as well. Would really, really recommend doing that. It's crying out for some seasoning, basically. So I'm going to add in you know, a good pinch of salt and pepper. Again, this should just really help to kind of wake up those flavors that are already in there. I'm kind of intent on making sure all of the food that I serve is really well seasoned. I think it's the biggest crime in a kitchen if you serve some delicious food that's kind of not quite seasoned correctly. So yeah, make sure you can kind of taste and adjust for seasoning. And it's important that we season intelligently. So I always like to add a little bit of honey in this. I think a tiny bit of sweetness can really help to bring out a lot of those other flavors. So again, you just want to be really, really minimal with this. I'm talking, you know, a kind of half a teaspoon, if that, tiny little blob in there. But you'll be surprised at the difference that just that tiny amount of honey can make. Again, the tahini is obviously a strong flavor, quite bitter, the lemon quite sour. So to balance it out with that sweetness, I think is really important. So again, just give it a quick taste. And yeah, that just from doing that, it's those kind of flavors have come together. It's a really cohesive dressing now, absolutely delicious. So for me, I'm happy with that. That's absolutely grand. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to check on the cauliflower and the chickpeas, and I'll show you where we're up to with those. So you can see here some of the cauliflower has taken on some really nice color, and you can see there's a kind of little bit that's caught over the side there. That's exactly what we want. We want that kind of charring caramelization. I think what has happened is that I've probably used two smaller pans, so it's not quite getting that crispiness that I'm after. So I think it's probably pretty much cooked. Give it a little try. Yeah, you still want a little bit of bite to it rather than it going to complete mush. So make sure you kind of give it a little taste. That's had about 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so in the oven at a relatively high heat. What I think I'm going to do is to stick it in there for a little bit longer and then probably finish it in the pan just to crisp it up. So that's going to go back into the oven to just kind of finish that last little bit of cooking through, and we're probably going to finish it in the pan to, as I say, get that really nice crispy element as well. I've noticed it's got slightly dark as well. The downside of being in a conservatory when you film is that obviously when the light goes, it does hamper the quality slightly. So hopefully you can all see me and hear me okay. The very last things that we're going to add to this are some feta and some pomegranates. So these are very much what you do at the end of the process. You kind of top these and scatter them through. The only thing that we really need to do, again, if you were buying a whole pomegranate, obviously you would kind of, you know, slice that in half, hit the seeds out and make sure you get just the seeds. Again, I'm feeling lazy. I've just got a packet of pre-prepared seeds. Excuse me, packet of that's a tongue twister. Packet of pre-prepared pomegranate seeds that are kind of all done and dusted. They've been rinsed, everything. So all I need to do is kind of scatter those on top. The only other thing is the feta. So all you need to do with that is just kind of break that up basically into small kind of chunks. That one looks like it's probably seen better days actually, so I might leave that one off and use the new one instead. Sure, Mum will crucify me for that, but it's a cook along. You know, you've got to make sure you're using the best ingredients. We often buy feta in these tubs, which comes with a little bit of water. So I'm just going to drain that off to try and avoid too much of it going onto the work surface. And then again, you just want to kind of take your feta and just crumble it. Basically, it's kind of got lots of natural cracks and crevices. So just give it a little squish, and you can see that it, you know, crumbles very easily in your hands. Again, with something like this, you want to, you know, have a nice sort of rustic effect. So, you know, some kind of big chunks of feta, some small. It kind of naturally reaches that point anyway if you sort of let it fall and do its thing. For this Quantity of salad, again, I'm going to use the whole block, but obviously adjust it according to your preferences. And this is certainly not something that you'd have to add in. You know, if you were looking to kind of make this vegan, obviously you could adapt the dressing slightly and use maybe like a soy yogurt or a coconut yogurt, and you could leave the cheese out altogether. Alternatively, you didn't like feta, I know it's a kind of slightly acquired taste. You could use goat's cheese instead, or maybe even some halloumi would be nice with this as well. So as before, just adapt it according to your kind of preferences and what you've got in the cupboard. So again, just going to give my hands a quick rinse, and I think now I'm probably going to take the cauliflower and the chickpeas out of the oven. I think we want to, they're probably cooked through and we just want to crisp them up. So gonna give the pan a quick wipe to get rid of any excess from the nuts. And what we're gonna do now is get our hob onto quite a high heat. We want this to be nice and hot. As I say, we're not necessarily looking to cook it through anymore. We just want to crisp it up. So this is where we use a little bit of that oil, if there's any left, last little drizzle. Should be all we need. There's obviously still a little bit of oil on the cauliflower, and obviously with us being health conscious with the dressing, I don't want to kind of undo that too much with the oil in the pan. So going to grab my oven gloves and withstand the heat from the oven and get that lovely cauliflower chickpea mixture ready. It's important to let the pan come up to heat. Obviously, what we're looking to do is kind of fry this quite quickly, quite aggressively to get that lovely charred color. If we put it in now and it kind of gradually comes up to heat, we're cooking it as well as crisping it. So yeah, that's kind of what we want to avoid. Thankfully, this sort of gas stove is pretty hot, so hopefully it shouldn't take too long to come up to come up to heat, I should say. And then from there, it's pretty much kind of assembly time, really. There's not a great deal to do. I should add as well that with all my live cook-alongs, they're often made to look or to take a lot longer than they would in reality. Obviously, I'm kind of stopping to explain each step. So, you know, you really can kind of knock this up in about 20 minutes, half an hour, if you want to, and you're not explaining to an audience. So, hence kind of why it's taken me a little bit longer, but you can kind of do it quite quickly. So this is a really good recipe to do for lunch, things like that, you know, or a quick dinner if you're, again, kind of rushed for time but want to obviously eat healthy still. So that pan is looking ripping hot, and what you should be hoping for is a big sizzle when you add in the cauliflower and chickpeas. So if we give it a listen, there you go. Sounds about right. So main thing we want to do here is kind of let that sit a little bit, let that catch and caramelize slightly, and we can then kind of add that onto our salad. I'm going to bring this, try not to burn my hand, bring this closer to the camera, so hopefully you can kind of see it a little bit better. What we've done, obviously, is add in all of our ingredients at the same time. But what we want to do now is toss them all together. So again, I'm feeling rustic. I'm just going to use my hands, but you can obviously use some, you know, salad spoons or salad servers or anything like that, or even just one. And you just want to kind of toss this through, making sure that every part of the salad has got even distribution of the good stuff. You don't want someone to be getting all of the radishes or all of the seeds or anything like that. You want to make sure it's kind of evenly dispersed. And the main thing that I would recommend doing with salad, just from a presentation point of view, is to save a really small bit of each ingredient so that you can kind of top it at the end. So again, I'm just going to search here, just putting out like a small handful of the nuts and the radishes, just so that I can kind of top it and make it look, you know, really visually appealing as well. So literally just doesn't need very much. The rest, as I say, you want to toss through. Same with the feta as well. That can go in at this stage, just leaving a little bit behind at the end so that you can kind of top it and dress it. So again, just give that a toss through, making sure everyone's got a little bit of everything. This now again there, hopefully you can see that. It's hard to show you on the pan, but can you see the different color that that's gone now? That lovely kind of caramelized, there you go. Not burnt, almost burnt flavor on the cauliflower. That's pretty much there for me. So I'm going to add that in. And then again, let that pan kind of come back up to heat before I add the rest of it. I'm now not obviously going to go in with my hands. I'm going to use the tong that I have available. But again, pomegranate seeds are the very last thing to go in. So add in, you know, a good scattering of those. I've gone for maybe half that packet there. And what you want to do as well is make sure that you dress the salad in its entirety. So not just kind of dressing on the top. So add a little bit of that dressing in now. And again, the reason we're kind of doing everything half, first of all, is so that we can add some more on the top to make it kind of look visually appealing. So making sure you save some of that dressing. And again, just use your kind of implements, your tongs. I'm going to use that spoon as well, actually. And just toss it together. Make sure everyone's got a little bit of everything. And hopefully now you can start to see what I mean about those colors, the lovely sort of yellow effect of the turmeric, that green of the lettuce, and the pink kind of pop of the pomegranate seeds and the radishes, really visually appealing. And you can also start to see that dressing just sort of coating every little bit as well, which is exactly what we want. I'm just going to add a touch more of that. And then finally, in with the, if I can find the oven gloves, last bit of our cauliflower and chickpea mixture. I know that we're up against it in terms of time, so we'll try and get this done within the hour. Getting ready, steady cook. 56, I can see we're on. No pressure. Just need these to crisp up now. We are, yeah, pretty much there. As you can see, it's literally the final few touches now. Making sure that, you know, we've given that a little stir and then letting it sit to caramelize. So again, just last few bits, tossing that dressing in. Every part has got a little bit of everything. And then hopefully I will show you at the very end why we kind of keep just a few bits of those last few ingredients back. In the meantime, while you're just literally finishing up, you can just have a quick kind of clean down and organize. I think we're pretty much there, pretty much good to go. Even got time for a little drink. Getting a few reactions, a couple of thumbs up and some heart eye emojis, which is always a good sign. What I strive for with cooking is the positive reactions. So hopefully you have enjoyed it for those that have watched along. You know, if you have kind of recreated it or joined in with us, please do tag us in your results. We'd be really keen to see the salad and, you know, any kind of variations on it that you've made. Instagram would be a really good place. So at HeartsSU or at OTCooks_eats. Really would love to see recreations. It's always really nice seeing people's sort of interpretations of them. So yeah, please do let us know. I think that's probably just about ready for the cauliflower. Again, we're not looking to sort of burn this by any means, but just to get a nice sort of char and sizzle. This is why when you're doing it on a camp stove, it's worse than having a proper extractor. Get all of those fumes taken away. But yeah, toss that last bit through. Again, it's nice when you do it like this because you can serve it as like a warm salad rather than just a completely cold one. So toss that through. 58, 57, right, final minute. We can now just add our very finishing touches. So again, what I like to do here is to just put a little dollop of the dressing so you can see that kind of color contrast, hopefully, with the white against the green. And then use these last few bits just to top it on the very top to make it look visually appealing. So you can see the radish really stands out against that white dressing. Likewise, the pumpkin seeds and the almonds as well kind of really pop. bit of that feta on top. Make sure you can almost, just by looking at the salad, you know exactly what's in it. And then finally, a few more of our pomegranate seeds that are really the best bit of the salad from a visual perspective. And then 8 seconds to spare. There you go. That is the Middle Eastern salad. I hope you have enjoyed that one. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yeah, if you would like to see more of these kind of cook-alongs, please do let us know. It's been huge fun to do it, and hopefully you've enjoyed watching it as well. So yeah, there you go. Lovely Middle Eastern salad. I'm really looking forward to eating this now. And if you are cooking along, I'm sure you are too. So I will end it there. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have really enjoyed that, and hopefully see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.